Hi everyone.
Yep, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hi everybody. Welcome to another week of the Black Multiverse Theory podcast. We are hurriedly reacting to Jason Kennedy's update
Yeah.
that he had today at about 4:45.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, everybody was on their edge of the seat for that time, like waiting to see what he said with bated breath to figure out what we were about to do, what we were going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here now. All reacting has happened. Well, 80% of it. It's something. I mean, I guess we kind of knew that this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not like a total shock. In fact, to be honest with you, I think in Edmonton, we've been on a different, like, we've kind of already been on that tip. Like, a lot of the things that they were announcing for the province, the city of Edmonton has already been like, yeah, you're going to wear masks indoors and you're going to do this and you're going to do this. So now the province is kind of adopting those mandates, I guess, right? Yeah. So I guess a lot of people, kids like junior high and high school kids well, I shouldn't say get to stay home, but have to stay home as of, I guess, Monday. And all of the smaller children get to go to school, to continue to go to school so that their parents can work. Child care centers are open, but play centers are not open. I think funerals and weddings down to 10 people with no reception, and barbers, hair salons by appointment only, which we already were at, I guess, in the city of Edmonton. And then mandatory masks indoors. I guess now when you go out to eat, you can only eat with members of your family. You can't go out to eat with people who are not in the members of your family. And apparently police officers are giving out tickets and fines as well, which is a new part to me, to have the law actually enforce this. I guess they have to get revenue somehow.
It is very well. They've been doing the ticketing. They've been doing it for $1,000
for a while, for $1,000.
For $1,000, they've been
Wow.
doing it. They're just really enforcing it now because it's going into a very strict type of lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Not as strict as a lot of the other provinces, but it's still strict for us. I was watching a news clip probably about 3 or 4 days ago about the same type of thing where the enforcement agent came into a MMA studio where they're practicing fighting, and we were having a private session. But the guy who was having the private session, who runs the studio, he had contacted the AHS authority to tell him, what was allowed from what was not allowed, and he had a message on his phone that stated, "You are allowed to do this with private sessions." So when the inspector came with the police, they were there ready to ticket him and shut him down and get him going. But he only had one student there at the place. So when he went with his one student, he played it back, and they were like, "Oh well, okay. It seems like everything's okay." But he was really worried because he was like, "Why are you guys here?" So the situation at hand, for those who have children, like myself, you know, from grade 7 and up, you are now off of school. You'll be homeschooling and doing school from home.
As of Monday, right?
As of Monday coming, which is also PD day for a lot of students. So
okay.
They get that day off anyways. But then they get every other day off.
They're not going back till January 11th. Yeah.
For the rest of the year. Which is terrible. It's horrible for my son. He's in the soccer club, and they like to hang out together. So for him,
plus soccer club, there's no extracurriculars for kids anymore either, right?
Right. And so soccer's out, and but it's okay because at least he doesn't have COVID and he's not dying.
Most importantly,
right? Even though it sucks for him in that aspect, it's great for him because he can stay healthy and stay home. The other children, that's kindergarten to grade 6, they get to stay in school till December. So they'll be in school till December 18th. And then that next week, December 18th, I think is a Friday. So then that next week is Christmas or holiday break. So the holiday break happens, and then they don't go back till January 11th, and then we reevaluate how it's going with COVID cases. The key to COVID right now is keeping your hands clean and your masks on. So when you're out at the store, in places where there's normally would be a large influx of people, keeping your mask on and making sure that you have gloves. Not gloves, but to make sure you have your hand sanitized. 6 feet away, because they are still allowing 10 people per outside visitations, and for people who are at home, seniors, they're allowing 2 people to come in for visits.
Okay.
But that's basically your limit. You kind of have to choose who you are. Who are going to come and kind of stick with them for a bit. So
that's a tough one. Definitely,
it is tough. Especially for seniors and people who are kind of stuck there, who have a large bit of family. What we're realizing with the 16 deaths that we just had and 1,158 new cases, that it is something that you're going to have to just adjust yourself to. I personally had COVID back in September. Don't want to get that again. That was probably one of the worst flu-like times 10 experience that I've ever had. My son had it. He had no symptoms. He's 10 years old. My mom got it. She's 76 years old. And, with them both getting it, I don't want to, have anything happen to them, which is good. So my other son who plays soccer, my 10-year-old who plays soccer on a community league, the league is done for the rest of the year. We're pretty much
done. So
it looks like it's done for the rest of the year. So gymnastics, the girls are supposed to be registering for gymnastics. They're also done. So I don't even think they did their first. They had to register. So all those people who are there, they're going to either want their money back, or they're going to need to schedule them in for another season and try and make that arrangement with the
Mm. And speaking of arrangements, we do have the Aphrodisiac Market, which was up and coming this very weekend. However, Mr. Kinney has shut down, not that he's shut down retail stores, but he has shut down all venues. So the venue is unable to host us on Sunday. And so we have something completely fresh and different coming at you. You talk about it? I'll talk about it. I've already talked about it. So, for this market, we were actually about to launch this anyway, but we'll be having a little black box that you can buy to support the market and really give you an opportunity to get a sampling of things from the vendors at the market. So right now, the black box is already launched. It's on aphrodisiacnaturals.com. It will stay there. But if you're going to wait until the weekend to shop, it will be on aphrodisiacmarket.com. And the black box will be in there. Once you select it, you're going to get emailed a survey that will give us an idea of what your likes are. And then we'll be pretty much sending that out. So we'll be pretty much, dealing with that on that level. Also, on the day of, we will be live and we will be showcasing the items that we will have in store. So if you want to tune in, then you'll be able to kind of buy a box on the day of and even maybe let us know what you want to do.
Okay.
So, yep, that's coming at you. If you log on to aphrodisiacnaturals.com right now, you can do that. Or you can wait until the 27th when the Aphrodisiac site launches. And then, is that your... Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bunch of people complaining about static online.
Oh, really?
Large amount of static.
Oh,
so
that's what you're trying to figure out.
Yes.
And you're seeing it.
I am. Keep on talking about the black market.
So, if you are like me or a lot of people and you want to kind of look and pick out your own selections and see all of the vendors, then you can go to aphrodisiacmarket.com and you'll be able to shop the vendors individually based on the items that they have uploaded. And then if you like don't really mind what you get, but you still want to support the market, and maybe you wanted like an assortment of things because you may want to give them out as gifts, or you may want to give some out as gifts and keep some for yourself, this is probably like the best opportunity to do that. We are also going to make sure that we entertain you. So when you log on live on the day of, we are going to definitely, we're still in the process of this particular pivot, but we're going to make sure we're there. We'll have conversations. You'll be able to ask questions about the items, and it will be your very own home shopping network of markets, I guess. We're going to turn Aphrodisiac into home shopping network. Do you think it's the cord, the laptop cord?
It might be. Is that the usual hub that we use?
Yeah. If you want me to pause 1 minute, we can swap it out.
Maybe out there.
Okay.
Because I can hear it.
You can hear the static?
Yeah, off of your computer.
Off of my computer?
Yeah. You can hear it through your computer. Or your phone or something.
Mm.
You have headphones on, so
Oh. Even when I talk now, you can't hear it.
Okay. Let's
Swap me that cord real quick.
which one? This one?
Yeah. Hold on 1 moment.
I can still hear it. What am I hearing? I'm hearing just something from your computer, actually.
That's my fan.
I've never heard that before.
Not really.
I can still hear it. What am I hearing? I'm hearing just something from your computer, actually. Okay.
I don't really know what to do.
All right, I will. I've never heard that before.
It's USB. Not really.
I can still hear it. All right, well, let's continue.
Okay. Do you want to move on to the scroll right now?
All right, we can move on to the scroll. There's a couple things that have happened this week. Most of our scroll we went over. The scroll is about how COVID has been affecting everybody. COVID is a big topic this week, especially in Alberta. In Alberta, we had 1,500 cases in a very short amount of time, new cases. And so because we have 1,500 cases and then we had 11 deaths, and now we had a brand new 1,100 cases and 16 deaths. So with the spike that's happening, it caused our premier to make a press release about what we're going to do. So that's a huge part of it, but that's not all of it. We still have stuff on the scroll. Actor Johnny Depp, we had some issues going on with his life.
Yeah, Johnny Depp got fired from Fantastic Beasts. I guess he was supposed to be on the next one. He got fired because of domestic violence. Now, if you remember, Johnny Depp was married to Amber Heard, and Amber Heard had taken him to court and alleged some abuse when they were married. Mm-hmm. However, when they looked into it, Johnny Depp actually brought proof or information that she was abusing him. But in the end, Warner Brothers decided to go ahead, cancel his contract, and then on the Animaniacs apparently made a joke about it. I didn't see exactly what the joke was.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers just lately had Animaniacs, which I didn't know they were even doing new episodes of Animaniacs. I
literally found out at that time.
But
I was like, what? Animaniacs is back?
Yeah, they literally... I think it was Wacko who's... Yakko.
Was Yakko making the joke. You know how he does the news updates? There's like a news update with
Johnny Depp in there.
Face, yeah. And I think he's suing.
Which is deep.
But Johnny Depp there's a specific contract that he has that because he shot any of it, he will get all of his money. So he's fine.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, I think he shot like 15 minutes or some title. As long as whatever contract that he has, as long as you do anything on it, even if they fire you, you get all of the money. So
and I mean he's a very interesting, phenomenal actor, but we've been noticing that a lot of these actors have secret lives that you don't know about. This case, it's kind of a weird scenario where
or a flip scenario where he's getting abused by the person who's accusing him of abuse. And immediately, a lot of people believe it as as a man, that you are the abuser, and so it's one of those things where it's just like unfortunate.
Yeah.
So that happened to Johnny.
That did happen to Johnny Depp.
That happened to Johnny Depp. We also have Donald Trump. More news on Donald Trump. Donald Trump had 27 of his lawsuits against the government and the voting process thrown out by the Supreme Court and the judges.
Was it this? It was completely thrown out.
Yeah, there were quite a few that were thrown out, and then there was because he didn't have evidence of
any fraud, actually. And one of the lawyers was literally like, the judge was like, I just want to get this clear. Are you alleging that there was fraud? And the lawyer's like, no, we are not alleging there was fraud. And he's like, okay, I just want to make sure. Are you trying to say that people were trying to steal the election? He's like, no, we're not trying to say that people were trying to steal the election. He's like, okay, this is, what did they say? Hogwash or poppycock or some antiquated word for bull. And then it ended up getting thrown out. So I imagine the other 19 cases went similarly.
Yes.
Can you imagine being the junior lawyer working for this giant law firm and they put this case on your desk like, hey, congratulations, you're getting promoted big time. Bloops. You're like, oh, no. Nope. So, yeah, that definitely happened. He's still conceding. I think he recently said that they should go ahead and take the preliminary protocols, which is the closest he's gotten to conceding so far. I don't think he'll ever get on TV and concede. I think he'll just be like, all right, go ahead, and then he'll just leave one day. Like one day in December, we'll never hear from Donald Trump again.
What ended up happening also this week is that the G20 summit for COVID-19 met with all the leaders from all the different countries coming together to talk about what they're going to do about COVID-19, about the different issues, about hunger, about the most wanted list. They usually come in and they talk about global warming. They talk about stuff that is going to affect the world, our children, the people that live in our society, that cause problems, that are helping. And most of this stuff is discussed at the G20 summit. This time around, they were discussing stuff. Donald Trump came in for the first portion of it. But when they started to talk about the COVID-19, he decided to take the rest of the day off and go on the golf course.
Yeah, DJT on the back nine.
So he was there on the back nine. He was doing his thing. And CNN decided to really show how deplorable it was by letting everybody see how many people die within the hour of COVID.
That's what they did?
Oh, so they showed that that about 1,000 people an hour are dying of COVID. And they showed how many hours he was on the golf course, and that's how many people were dying while he was playing golf. And so they thought it was, something they wanted to put out. Quite funny, because he's supposed to have his presidential team, do this transfer of information over to the Biden team.
Biden would have been in the place, like, getting the information.
And that's the funny thing about Biden. Biden's team's ready, but they weren't relinquishing the information. They have all kind of plans
and stuff, yeah.
And because they don't have all the plans, it's actually hindering Biden's
transition. Yeah, apparently the transition really takes that amount of time. And they're like the whole government is pretty much like, we kind of have to get things started so that we can get them ended. And Biden's supposed to be getting briefings that he's not getting, apparently. Trump's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, let him.
But he's not giving up. Like, he's gonna waste the taxpayers' money. He has to pay for these lawsuits himself, But apparently, the people who are contributing to his Stop the Steal are contributing to past. He didn't make enough money in his his last campaign.
Wow.
So he owes a lot of money for his last campaign. So this Stop the Steal, the money is going to the last campaign and to
the lawsuits.
These lawsuits, yeah.
That is deep.
I think it's really about getting the money to pay off the people from the last campaign. I don't think it's really about the steal part at all. I think it's like once they have those debts paid off, he'll be like, all right, see y'all.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So we had Donald Trump go through that. That was a really funny scenario for our scroll.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. You had something about an R&B singer, but I don't remember what it was. We saw Jeezy and what's his name? Gucci Mane.
Gucci Mane and Jeezy went in the versus battle. Squashed the beef. They decided to even go out to the after party together. Mm-hmm. And they had a good time. They said it was one of the greatest verses, but they said that literally the Gucci Mane didn't have as much in his catalog as Jeezy at all.
Okay, so let me ask you a real quick question.
Mm-hmm.
If I sent a person to kill you,
right,
and they fail because you have to,
because I killed them in self-defense.
You have to kill them first, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Now me and you are on a versus battle together.
How many years later?
How many years later was it?
10.
Only 10?
It's a decade, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was a decade. I think it was at least. I think it was either 10 or 20.
I thought it was closer to 20, but it might be closer to 10.
So
I'm not really sure.
The thing about it is, it all depends on your forgiveness level, really. It all depends on why this happened, what the misunderstanding was, why he thought that Jeezy was a threat, why he sent the guy out.
You feel like
what happened
a
between
whole them? You feel like you can
forgive a person? You're talking about
you're
talking about forgiveness, right?
I'm talking about I'm talking about forgiveness.
Yeah,
like you sent somebody to kill me, and I had to murder somebody. Like I had to take somebody's life, because you sent somebody to kill me. There's so many levels of forgiveness there. Like I can't wrap my mind around that. I'm sorry. I'm but a mere human.
The funny thing about me is I'm also a mere human, but I have this weird second chance fiasco thing going on.
You do that thing.
But the thing about it is there's so many scenarios I could go through this, right? So for instance, if I felt if let's say I'm Gucci Mane and Jeezy threatens my life in a argument that we're having. So we have an argument, whatever the situation is. Jeezy threatens my life. Maybe grabs my neck. Maybe he hits one of my children. Maybe he does something like that.
Okay.
And so now I feel threatened. So I send a guy to kill Jeezy, and then Jeezy kills that guy. The backstory of what originally happened.
You're saying what happened in the first place.
Nobody knows. Everybody knows this one section of the story all the time.
So, the thing is that no. So the thing is that people weren't like, nobody was like, oh, he should forgive him. People were actually like, look at this guy. Why is he not forgiving him? Because at first it was like, but then he like came around and was like, all right, cool. So to be honest with you, the general people were like, oh, he's immature, whatever. But because the backstory is that my man had to take a whole life because this guy sent somebody after him.
From all the press that I saw for Jeezy, I didn't see Jeezy once be like, yeah, I'm the one to do it, or no, I'm not doing it. I never saw any of that stuff. It might have happened, I just never saw it.
Oh, okay.
But I did see Gucci come down off a hill and running and then say some 50 Cent type stuff on the camera about Jeezy, and it's like, why? You know, I was like, why are you doing this?
The man sent somebody to murder him.
Not Gucci. Gucci sent someone for Jeezy, right?
I think
that's what it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I think
But all in all, the versus battle was great. So yeah. I'm anxious to get to the screen.
Let's do it.
So we are now off the scroll and onto the screen.
Jeezy sent Okay, sorry.
Okay. So we were fortunate enough to watch on HBO with some people here also trying to get on to watch the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion,
which I did not expect to cry as much as I did, but I did cry. And
that is what is amazing. Most people didn't know. They always talk about the first hand Viv versus the second hand Viv. The second hand Viv, in my opinion, personal opinion, always seemed like she was an outsider trying to fit into somebody else's family. The first hand Viv felt like she really was Aunt Viv. She was the mom.
Yeah, she really did.
So in the end, what I got from it is we saw all these tributes to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We saw Uncle Phil and how he was a mentor. We found out the first contract. I know a lot about Will Smith, so I know that first contract story, it didn't quite end. He didn't end the contract story so that you could see on the actual HBO Max. He just stopped the story kind of short. The end of the story is that the lawyers, everybody signed this document on a napkin that was there in the place
at Quincy Jones'
birthday party.
Yeah, he just gathered everybody around,
and it was interesting because he went, he did this show, he did the pilot. He kind of quickly did this thing. They gave him a show.
Yeah.
He went for the show. He did all these sets.
They said they ushered him through it. So I don't even think he didn't have to like the other people were talking about their auditions. But Will Smith just came in like they were like this
no, everybody had a formal audition.
But Will Smith didn't.
He had the most important audition of them all,
which is the one at Quincy Jones' birthday party.
Right. So at Quincy Jones' birthday party were all the TV execs for the time being. The guy whose brainchild of the Fresh Prince was about his life. So it wasn't about Will Smith's life. It was about this other guy's life. He pitched the story to Quincy Jones and thought that Will Smith would be perfect for the role. Will came in, the TV execs were there, their lawyers were there, the TV lawyers were there, the contract writers were there, and the script writers were there, and most of the musicians were there for Quincy Jones' birthday party. So everybody he needed to pitch this idea to were at the party, drunk, in perfect position to be happy, to see a show, to get entertained by a young man, and to do the show. So he says to Will, you want to do this or you don't want to do this? And he was like, yeah, I want to do it. I'll come back in 2 weeks and I'll have something great for you. I'll get prepared. He's like, okay, great. You're going to come back in 2 weeks? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, I have everybody you need to pitch this to in the next room right now. But you want to come back in 2 weeks. And he's like, I'll have something ready in 10 minutes. So he goes, he pitches the show based off of, this other guy. He has the idea in his head. Sometimes that happens to me, when you get like an idea from somebody, you're able to take that idea even further, or reenact it out and do stuff. So he reenacted everything out for everybody. Everybody thought it was great. They signed the contract. They went through, this is what we need. He needs this. He needs this much money. He needs this at this time. And they wrote out a contract on a napkin, a makeshift contract. Got everybody to sign it who was there and used that as a legal document to propel him forward. He went back because he was on tour with DJ Jazzy Jeff. He brings him back. after their tour, and they get started with the filming of the pilot episode for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But then you find out that Aunt Viv was there on the show. By the time she reached the third season, she was pregnant.
What's her name again? Janet Hubert.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was pregnant. She was in an abusive relationship. Her husband was out of work, and she was in an abusive relationship with him. And she was coming to work, and she wasn't really telling everybody what the situation is.
And the writers going into season 3, they pitched her a bum deal.
They did.
She said no, but then they were like, "Oh no, okay," and they didn't fire her, but they didn't come with another offer again either. So she's like, she's pretty much stuck with this bum deal, and she's being abused at home. And per you said, her husband's not working.
So she came and she didn't know who the enemy was, so she stopped talking. Will, being young and not in any relationship of substance at the time, just felt that she was like snubbing him, right?
Yeah.
Like it should have been revolving around him.
But I think a little bit of that has to do with they already acknowledged that he's 21, right? But he's also not a real actor at this point. And Janet Hubert's a triple threat. James Avery is like a huge big actor as well. So I think some of that had to do with his own insecurities about not being a real actor, essentially.
And he had this thing because he had this TV family, and he was dealing with that. So a lot of the scenes that he had to do, the tear-jerking scenes with the father and different ones, were based off of stuff he was going through with his life, right?
Yeah.
And so he kind of explains in another interview that he found his humor because he was trying to distract his own father from beating his own mother.
Yeah.
And so some of these things you find out, and it really shows, some people don't like Will Smith, they don't like his acting, some people don't like him. I actually find him one of my favorite actors. I just feel like he's close to me. So I feel like if he could do it, I could do it, sort of deal, you know what I mean? But it was a really good show. I encourage everybody to watch it. It's on HBO and HBO Max. You could watch it online with your Roku or with, I think Crave has it on there, but you could watch it with your Roku or even their Fire Stick, depending on where you're at. And yeah, it's actually a good show to watch.
Yeah, it even dealing with Ashley and her first kiss and all of that stuff too. It was good to see these people who we as kids, like for me, they pretty much babysat me. Like that is, I watched Will Smith. I don't remember what day it was on, but I definitely that was definitely my show.
It used to come on Monday nights a lot of time. And here in Canada, it would come on, and I think Bart Simpson would come on either after or before.
Before, yeah.
Right, The Simpsons.
Yeah. This weekend, the Tyson fight is on.
Yes, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr.
Now, I truly believe that Mike Tyson's gonna pulverize Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones as a fighter has a glass jaw. This is just him being like, I've never fought Mike Tyson, and now I can say I fought Mike Tyson. And also, he clearly needs money. Like, if we do a side-by-side comparison of their Instagrams, Mike Tyson's feeding pigeons. He's just living the life. Like, it's just like pictures of his life. My man Roy Jones' entire Twitter after Twitter is like, bigging up, not bigging up, but like paid promos. Like, they're all paid promos, including like telling people in Russia to vote, like all over. He's
definitely getting paid by quite a few people.
I just knew my man was like, that was the final ace. Like, maybe debt is closing down on him, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna fight Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, not only can he take a punch, but he's Iron Mike Tyson. It's not his jaw that's iron. And what happens when iron meets glass?
Well, I don't know.
I guess we'll
But
find out.
out.
Is it on HBO? What's it on?
I don't know.
I hope it's on a streaming system that I already pay for, because I'm sick of you guys.
I think it is pay-per-view, but you have to, it depends on what your pay-per-view system is going to have. Roy Jones Jr., you watch his Instagram. I went on Roy Jones' Instagram. On his Instagram, he's there peddling whatever. He's like, yo, you could get these practice gloves. They're in good condition,
and they smell, because I've used them
they
already.
smell a little bad, but that's because they're used really good. And I was like, wow,
those are his old practice gloves that he's autographed to sell.
Yeah, he's
So
autographed and he's selling them. And then you have Mike Tyson there, who's just going around punching stuff, just punching it. And even on the pay-per-view ad, they show Roy Jones on, and it's his ad. Roy Jones is like, yeah, I just wanted to tell, kids always ask me when I ask them, have you fought Mike Tyson? And he's like, why do they always ask me, have you fought Mike Tyson? Have you fought Mike Tyson? Have you fought Mike Tyson? He's like, well, now I could clearly say I fought Mike Tyson. Yeah. And he was like, yeah. And he's like,
Mike Tyson's like,
if he shows up.
But it's like this long. Like, you're like, wait, what did he say? And then you have to watch the whole thing again to be like, yes, Mike Tyson is throwing shade at the end of this.
Mike Tyson's like, if he shows up, and Mike Tyson has a great show as well called Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson, where he literally sits there in a studio. Sometimes they're smoking, sometimes they're not, but he talks to people about their real life, like Boozy, like there's quite a few really famous people that he goes to. Teddy Riley, he had Teddy Riley in there, and he's like, and he's not afraid.
Who was Teddy Riley? Was with that comedian, right? Was it the two of them together?
Yeah, but the comedian was his friend.
Okay,
was Mike Tyson's friend. Mike Tyson was like, "Oh, we're friends. I could say whatever I want then." So he literally told him about himself on the thing, and it's fun to watch because he'll say probably the most outlandish things that a lot of people wouldn't say to another person, much less their friend. But he'll say this thing to them, and then he'll just stand there.
He's definitely gone to therapy.
And he'll sit there and analyze everybody and everything.
And challenge them.
And he has all the vocabulary that you need to get through what you got to get through. But yeah, other than that, that's it.
That is it. Also, what I've been watching.
What have you watched?
I also haven't told you guys about this documentary. I believe it was on HBO. Yeah. And it was about the guy who was working for USA Gymnastics, who was sexually abusing the girls. Now, I don't even think you understand the level of abuse that this man was perpetrating. Like, it was astounding. So what he did was convince everybody that he had this special treatment where he put his fingers inside women, and he ungloved, by the way. So an ungloved set of hands. And then he said, oh, there's a pressure point that we just have to alleviate the pressure. And then, you can go right back to work. So what he was working for, literally like USA Gymnastics, plus this thing called Twisters, which is a whole nother set of gymnastics groups, plus the high school, plus the church. And he's going through all of this stuff. And literally, he's the doctor for everybody. He's even taking girls at his house in his basement. Now, 100% of the girls who are coming to him are getting this pressure point treatment. 100% of them, 100% of the time. And he's like working all days and nights. But you know what he's not doing? Providing actual treatment for people's issues. So one girl is going to him. He's doing this pressure point treatment, and she's getting what she thinks is shin splints. So they keep telling her that she has to keep going. She has to keep going. It's also an attestation to what they put these
these girls through anyway, or these kids through. So they're like, so she's like, go every time she complains, she's going to this guy. He's doing this treatment. She's putting her back on, putting her back to work, and then come to find out that one of her like her shin bones has driven into the other one and is like literally splitting it open, like directly down the middle, wedged in the middle. So every time she's doing these tumbles and she's jumping, one of the bones is like splitting, like literally cutting her shin bone in half, which was just so painful to think about. I'm like, I don't think that I could have kept going. And the worst part of it is, by the time she went to her coach and was like, yo, coach, I can't. He was like, get your effing things and get the F out of my gym, and that means for good. And that was when she went to the freaking emergency room.
That's when they found out.
Man. And then I guess it turns out that these, pretty much the people, like, granted that guy was abusing, the thing pretty much implicates every single person that has to do with the USA Gymnastics program. Because if what they set up is that everybody was so terrible, right, that this guy's like so-so-ness, which made him like, okay, you know, like he'd give them candy, or he would let them use their cell phone, or weirdly enough, he was like texting them randomly, asking how their day was, asking like personal questions about them. So the thing about it is that if those other people who were involved with these girls weren't so savage or weren't so vicious, then this guy couldn't have nice guy infiltrated himself into the system. And everybody he's juxtaposed against, like every single other set of people, are like horrible, like every single other person he's working with. So, and I have to say this, is that they were literally like, the girl's parents were in the room like a lot of times. So he would do this, let's say he would do it for like 5 or 10 minutes when the parents are in the room. And so, okay, he's doing it, he's talking to the parents, he's doing it, and then the next time when the parents aren't in the room, he's doing it for like 2 hours.
Wow.
But meanwhile, the girls are like, well, this was okay when my mom and dad were here, so this must be a thing. And he did it so much until they finally had to, like, I guess there was a female FBI agent that was like, okay, this is enough. And then they finally, like, had a conversation with him. But more than one person had come to the authorities about it. And they had come to the authorities about it, when I say decades ago. So the fact that, like, I feel like all those people should be in jail, honestly, because the fact that people came to you formally and launched a formal complaint, and you did not write it down or do anything about that, and then this abuse went on for another decade, like another 15, 20 years. Like, one of the girls went to them in 1997. Like, and the guy it was like 2018, 2019 that he got locked up. So may he rot in there.
It is terrible when that happens. Terrible. And I've always thought about it, because my girls are in gymnastics, but all the people that deal with my girls are all female. But even so, you know, it always catches me when I hear about this thing that happened in the U.S. and I'm wondering what I would do if I saw that. I'd be like, no. But you know, as parents, you could always say whatever. These parents, they probably were convinced that it was something normal, and he only did it for a little while. So I'm not sure what was going in their heads when they watched this man doing this to their daughters. But he was very convincing, and he had a lot of assumed innocence to him. So because they assumed he was innocent, he went to the church, he did a bunch of stuff, and he also did this at his home, he did this at the church, he did this to a lot of girls over the years. Yeah. So just be mindful of that. It is something that is out there. For sure. And, you know, if your kid tells you something, believe them, I guess. Yes.
probe more, ask more questions, get a doll out, like whatever it is you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that. And do you want to move on to In Your Ears? You have anything else for the screen? I was trying to watch Bad Hair by Justin Simien, but it's yet another subscription service, you guys. I'll be honest with you. Unless we start getting some sponsors, I can't do another subscription.
Let's see.
I mean, Hulu, maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, his Dark Materials. Did we talk about that last week?
No, we didn't get to talk about his Dark Materials.
So his Dark Materials, I think we did, right? Is the extension of
The Golden Compass.
The Golden Compass. That's what I used to call it. The Golden Compass. And the Golden Compass, it pretty much, yeah, I think I remember I said this. The first few episodes are essentially the movie, but then it completely derails and detours. And it's like, the reason I like it is because the universe is an established universe at a point where all of the rules we know about the established universe are being broken. So us, the viewer and the characters, are all figuring out the new rules of this universe together. So it's a good one. It's worth it. It's on Hubbo.
Oh, wow. Christine says that the gymnastics thing happened here in Canada too. The former owners of the gym in Capilano had done it in Montreal.
Oh, wow. See? Thanks, Christine, for that, because that is far closer to home than we would have even...
than we like.
Yeah. Than we would have even thought.
Yeah.
So...
as far as his Dark Materials, it's based off of the book, so it doesn't.
The book.
It does
it's not the movie.
It doesn't derail or detour. It just continues. Or the book.
The Golden Compass, the movie, though, makes you feel like there should be more, and there wasn't. So
yeah,
and that makes sense as to why it is a little bit like the movie, but not exactly like the movie, because the movie obviously took some liberal.
They spent some dollars on the movie, especially because they used
real polar bears.
Yeah,
just
right.
Kidding.
Because they used some very famous actors in there. Nicole Kidman and
James Bond guy.
Yes, which I can't remember his name right now.
Me neither. Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, and he was at the height of his cinematic career. He had done James Bond. He had done a bunch of other movies, and people are like, "Oh, this guy." So when they got him for that, he was able to get top dollar, and I think he just bankrolled him right out the door. Basically, the two of them spent up all the budget for the decade.
And trust me, that whole man, it was a nice movie though. They were like, go hard or go home, I guess. But good. I think it came out like, you know, when movies come out the same time as other movies that are very similar to them, like the 90s have a bunch of movies like that too. I think it came out at the same time as like Harry Potter. Like it came out at the same time as like
very similar,
a bigger brand too. So people were like, and then they went with Harry Potter.
A lot of people.
Mostly.
I liked the movie so much that I bought the actual DVD when it came out.
It was good.
It actually was a really good movie for me. But the TV show actually follows it almost exactly. They even use a lot of the same CGI effects. They use a lot of the same building structure. So it must be really described well in the book because they both are pretty identical. And then the girl who plays the main character, the young girl, that is the girl who plays Wolverine's
Baby Wolverine.
Predecessor.
Daughter.
Not predecessor, or his next.
His daughter.
Sure. It's not his daughter, but it's the next person.
Oh, it's not his daughter.
No.
I just did
absolutely not his daughter. But it is the next person. It's what's his name? Wolverine 22 or something like that.
s-
23?
but I wanted to bring this up. Speaking just really quick of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling has a new book out, and Sarah Kapchuang's picture that she drew ended up being the cover, and she's a young lady from right here in Edmonton. So the new J.K. Rowling book cover is a local young, I think she's like 10 or 11, she's 11, young artist.
Nice.
Yep.
That's phenomenal.
So congratulations to her.
Awesome.
Yep. So what are you listening to? What's in your ears?
In my ears, I have been actually really listening to the Bliss Band playlist quite a bit. Listening to a little bit of Stevie in there, a little Bruno Mars in there, a little India.Arie.
Nice.
And so that's been my playlist.
Yeah. I've been listening to that. I've also been listening to a lot of like, girl, drop it to the floor. I love the way that booty goes. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of like aughts trap music, like 00 to 10.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nope, that's it.
Okay.
I can't remember his last name. Tony Nwenge or Toby.
Yeah. Toby.
Yeah. So a little touch of that too.
Yeah, he has a song called Try Jesus, Not Me. So I like that song. It's not quite a gospel song, but it is
my favorite gospel song.
But it is a good song. So it was really, he was on the BET Awards and he nailed it. Him and his wife nailed it on the BET Awards. So if you get a chance, they're in the mint green background and outfits, matching mint green outfits. So if you get a chance on YouTube, you can watch that. All right.
Okay. You want to talk about what's coming up?
Well, what is coming up is the Aphrodisiac cyber market that is happening.
Wow, that was a good one. Nice.
So that is what is coming up.
We didn't say cyber before. So
No?
the fact that it's in there now, it totally works. Yeah.
So that is fantastic. You'll be able to order anything you can through that. Keep checking. There's also, we have the Aphrodisiac boxes for sale, which has a lot of samples, or not samples, but different black owned market merch inside it. We also have melanistic hoodies here at the shop.
Yes.
That you can pick up. Melanistic magazine hoodies. The new magazine is out.
The new magazine is out. Was that this week before our last
This is our fashion edition. It did come out after our podcast last time.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
Here it is here. This is a fashion edition. Wonderful model on the front. You'll see lots of great. This is one of our biggest ones yet. And it is fantastic. It is a holiday edition. It speaks about Kwanzaa, and it speaks about Christmas, and it speaks about just what it's like just to be black and your life in black. So,
and if you want a Jamaican sorrel recipe, this is where you'll find. Actually, you'll find it online.
This is what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the sorrel recipes in here, you can definitely find it online now. I'm recommending that all the people who are fans of this join the Patreon. You get yourself, depending on what tier you go on with the Patreon, you will find yourself with a hoodie and all the copies of the magazine that we've done this year. This is the fourth and last copy for the year, and then we'll be entering into season 2, volume 5 of the Melanistic magazine. So right now we're kind of going into this kind of a Christmassy lockdown, so I recommend that you You get your reading materials, you get your nice warm hoodie, you get your aphrodisiac box, and while you're at it, the Bethel Apostolic Church Stony Plain, which is a church I attend, is doing a fundraiser and have rotis for sale.
Roti gang.
So you can get chicken, beef, or goat roti. They're only $10.
Ultra low
roti.
price.
You can
Order
get the
now
shell
because I'm gonna try and make that price go up.
You can get the shell and make your own curry. And if you do that, it is made by none other than Sister Charles. She has made the roti, and the roti shell is $3.
I got checks today.
So for 10, it's only $30 for 10 roti shells. Christmas time, you have different things happening. It's good to have a little roti in there, especially if you're there.
Thalia was like, "Who's making it?" I was like, "Rod's mom." She's like, "Sister Charles." I'm like,
Yeah,
Sister Charles. Yes, she checked me.
it's Sister Charles.
She's like, I will take.
Yeah. So we have them for sale. We are trying to reach a large goal. Our goal is $25,000, and people are like, "Wow, that's a lot of roti." But the roti is, as I was told, the cornerstone of the fundraising. It is the beginning. So I'm going to ask everybody who can. You can go on my Facebook. That is n.j.williams, and you can order it right on the Google form there, and we will be able to get it ready for you. We have a first batch happening this Saturday, so get it. Sister Charles is really adamant that you have fresh roti.
Truly.
So it has to be fresh. She doesn't want to have it and freeze it and give it to you. She wants to give you everything, the roti, the meat, everything fresh. So if you want fresh roti, you're going to be in lockdown. You're going to have the children there. You're going to need fast things to kind of make, different curry to make, and you don't want to have to go out in these streets and make roti. This is the best way to take care of a half or all of your dinner plans by doing that. So once again, come pick up your roti. While you're picking up your roti, get yourself a hoodie. Once you get yourself a hoodie, pick up a box for the gifts for people, because you're not going to really be able to go out anyways. And then last but not least, after you get your gift box,
and your hoodie,
pick up your magazine.
Yeah. All the gift boxes will have a magazine, and we'll have a melanistic magazine in them as well.
100. And all the hoodies will also have a melanistic magazine in it. So that's it.
That's it for us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us once again for the Black Multiverse Theory podcast. We will see you.
Was there a word?
A word. You're right. My bad, y'all. I have a word.
Go ahead.
You're looking at me funny. But my word today is about flexibility. And, there's a proverb, I don't remember what it is, but it has something to do with palm trees surviving storms because they are flexible. So it's important in these here COVID times, no matter what you're doing, whatever plans you might have, to remember to be flexible with those plans. And let's start thinking creatively with all this technology that we have available to us, how we can still connect with each other, see each other, support each other, but also keep each other safe and not put each other in danger. So stay safe, be creative, and be flexible. Thank you. Have a good night.
Awesome. Good night, everyone.